Beloved within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, beloved within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, this is a very urgent message, a very urgent message about the Alpha and the Omega scene and the foundation of our faith in these last days. So Ellen White says in Selected Messages, Book 1, page 194 and 202 to 204, she says this, it says, every form of evil is waiting for an opportunity to assail us. Flattery, bribes, inducements, promises of wonderful exaltation will be most assiduously employed. What are God's servants doing to raise a barrier of a thus saith the Lord against the evil? The enemy's agents are working unceasingly to prevail against the truth. Where are the faithful guardians of the Lord's flock? Where are his watchmen? Are they standing on the high tower giving the dangerous signal, or are they allowing the peril to pass unheeded? Where are the medical missionaries? Are they co-workers of Christ, wearing his yoke, or are they wearing a yoke of human manufacture? My message to you is no longer consent to listen without protest to the perversion of truth. Unmask the pretentious sophistries which, if received, will lead ministers and physicians and medical missionary workers to ignore the truth. Be not deceived. Many will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrine of devils. We have now before us the alpha of this danger. The omega will be a most startling nature. We need to study the words that Christ uttered in the prayer that he offered just before his trial and crucifixion. These words spake Jesus and lifted up his eyes to heaven and said, Father, the hour is come. Also the foundation of our faith. Look what Ellen White has stated in this writing here. The foundation of our faith. She says, the enemy of souls has sought to bring in the supposition that a great reformation was to take place among Seventh-day Adventists, and that this reformation would consist in giving up the doctrines which stand as the pillars of our faith and engaging in a process of reorganization. Were this reformation to take place, what will result? The principles of truth that God in his wisdom has given to the remnant church will be discarded. Our religion will be changed. The fundamental principles that have sustained the work for the last 50 years will be accounted as error. A new organization will be established. Books of a new order will be written. A system of intellectual philosophy will be introduced. The founders of this system will go into the cities and do a wonderful work. The Sabbath, of course, will be lightly regarded as also the God who created. Nothing will be allowed to stand in the way of this new movement. The leaders will teach the virtues better than vice. But God being removed, they will place their dependence on human power, which without God is worthless. Their foundation will be built in the sand, and storm and tempest would sweep away the structure. Beloved, in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, this new movement in the Alpha and Omega scene is really in these two synopsises. This new movement that's happening within the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a movement to lightly regard the Sabbath, to keep Sunday holy, and have ministries like Sunday Surge, in which you worship on the first day of the week, and you violate the Sabbath by buying and selling on the Sabbath, working on the Sabbath, going out to restaurants on the Sabbath, and worshiping on the first day of the week, and having evangelism crusades on the first day of the week, like Sunday Surge, beloved. Also, books of a new order, writing books like 40-Day Fast. 40-Day Fast is based off of the Catholic Church's way of prayer and spiritual formation, Jesuit Ignatius Loyolian spiritual formation prayer methods. Also, to change the doctrines. They believe our doctrines are not Jesus enough. They believe it's Jesus plus. They believe it's not Christ-centered enough. So they want to change all of our doctrines and make our doctrines godless and make our doctrines more liberalized. They believe our doctrines are too proclamational. They're too proof texty. And so they want to change our doctrines. The Sabbath, of course, they teach that we keep the Sabbath too strictly, and that we need to change our Sabbath doctrine and make it more liberalized. So, beloved in the Seventh Church, beware of this new movement. Also, the Alpha and Omega scene, that section of the reading I just read, they're going to try to offer people that know present truth high positions within God's church and outside of God's church. They can renounce their faith in the Sabbath commandment and in the doctrines that make our church distinctive, the 28 fundamental beliefs, And the pillars of our position, like the sanctuary truth, the state of the dead, the Sabbath, the hell of form, and the spirit of prophecy. These four main pillars are going to try to, those who stand faithful to God, they're going to offer them great positions of trust to give up their faith and keep Sunday holy. Beloved, we do not need to give up our faith and keep Sunday holy. We do not need to bow down to this new movement. We need to stand up for present truth in these last days and resist the effort to be a part of this new movement, beloved, in the Adventist Church. Also, in the same writing, the book Living Temple is written. And Living Temple has a principle about the pantheistic theories concerning God, where his presence is and his personality. And that same principle is in the Omega Apostasy in some of the books called Celebration Discipline, by Richard H. Foster, Invitation to a Journey by Robert J. Mulholland, in this class called Foundations, Biblical Spirituality, or Spiritual Mason, in many of our schools and colleges in the Adventist Church today. All these things are going to try to do with our faith in these last days and have a new movement. Nothing but to stop this movement. Beloved, we do not need to be on the wrong side of the question. We need to be part of the 144,000 that stands true to God in these last days and does not give tail to these false theories in these last days and be part of the Jesuit counter-reformation in the Adventist Church. We need to stand true to God, beloved. We need to overcome our sins, put away our sins. Do not teach the pre-fall nature of Christ. Teach the post-fall nature of Christ. Teach victory over sin, beloved. We need not to dance in church, like I said earlier, and wear jewelry and eat flesh and stuff like that. We need to stand true to God in these last days and be true Seventh-day Adventist Christians. We need to believe that God's law is real, beloved. I'm telling you, these are the last days, and Satan is trying to do it with our faith. He's trying to get us to give up. Otherwise, it's an iceberg. Meet it. It's an iceberg. Meet it. Just like the Titanic many years ago, before it went down, we're meeting an iceberg in our church. We need to meet this iceberg and give a true witness to the truth. So we will be sealed for these last days and not receive the mark of the beast. God bless you, beloved. Happy Sabbath to you. What is coming on tomorrow? Happy Sabbath.